Day 5 is a good one. If you are ready, let's go. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah K. Hoffman, aka A Gutsy Girl, and I am here today with another day of the 21-day approach to healing the gut. And I'm super excited for this one today because it is a day that you are going to definitely resonate with. You're going to find yourself right in these same footsteps, at least at some point on your journey. And I think it's going to give you a lot of context behind what I try to teach and preach and how I try to help you frame things in order to see your journey from a very long-term plan and goal and ultimate healing. So let's dive right on in. Day 5 is called Diagnosis, Root Causes, and Triggers. When I first began writing about gut health, my goal was to help women with temporary issues. I knew that GI issues were on the rise, and I knew that there were women out there suffering just as I was in silence. But what I did not expect was just how complicated these issues could be. I thought IBS was IBS was IBS. In other words, those with IBS had similar symptoms that should be easy to overcome with a strict diet. Food was the medicine and the cure, and with this thinking, I would be able to help millions of women worldwide address their gut issues and move on with life. How wrong I was. At a very basic level, IBS certainly is not IBS, is not IBS. In the years that followed, I found that the onion had layers to peel that I never knew existed. I began to study and understand that there were 3 pieces to most people's mysterious puzzles. Number 1, the diagnosis. Number 2, the root causes. And number 3, the triggers. You might think all 3 are one and the same, but in most cases, they are not. And healing your gut means learning about and addressing all 3. Let's look at a hypothetical example. Hope is not feeling well. She hasn't been feeling well for about 6 months. She's feeling more bloated by the day, but her bowel movements are inconsistent. She toggles between constipation and diarrhea, not knowing what might happen on any given day. Hope is also feeling more tired and seems to gain weight no matter what foods she eats or does not eat. So Hope makes an appointment with her doctor. Dr. Rivers listens to her complaints and gets her set up with some lab work, including a CBC, complete blood count, and measuring her TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone levels. Hope gets the labs done that day and then goes home to wait for Dr. Rivers to call with answers. But when Dr. Rivers calls, she says, "Your TSH levels are fine. CBC came back normal, and I'm suspecting IBS. Your diagnosis is IBS. IBS stands for Irritable Bowel Syndrome," Dr. Rivers explains. This means that you have a collective set of symptoms classified as a syndrome, not a disease. The conversation ends with a generic prescription for laxatives, over-the-counter medicines, and advice to see if dairy affects how you feel. Hope goes about her days. She tries some of the things Dr. Rivers mentioned, but things don't change. Another 6 months down the line, she finds herself feeling worse than ever, so she goes through doctor after doctor, step after step, until finally another doctor orders more tests and then diagnoses her with SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, a low-functioning thyroid, and a mild case of candida. The SIBO, low-functioning thyroid, and candida are the root causes of the IBS diagnosis she was given years before. With the help of her doctor, Hope begins implementing a healing protocol that includes dietary changes, a medication, and supplements. She feels grateful because she's finally feeling better. But about 6 months later, all of a sudden, she starts not feeling optimal again. She doesn't understand why, and the words play in her head on repeat. I'm following the diet, taking the medication, and keeping up with the supplements religiously. So why am I not feeling well? Now what? Hope begins to panic. She starts Googling every symptom she has. She convinces herself there is something else going on. Spoiler alert, there is nothing else going on. Hope is, in fact, healing, slowly but surely. By this time, she's tired of going to the doctor, so she diagnoses herself with an underlying autoimmune condition. She concludes that she should diet harder with an AIP, autoimmune protocol, diet. Along with the diet, she introduces more supplements to the regimen. The healing process has now become Hope's full-time job. The cycle is ugly, hard, and both physically and mentally exhausting. And the new changes to her diet and supplements don't seem to be having any effect. But remember when Hope first started not feeling well again? During that time, she was working late hours, was experiencing a rough patch with her husband, and to help with all the stress, she was working out 5 days a week for 90 minutes per session. When she wasn't feeling well, Hope thought about everything but lifestyle. But those lifestyle factors were triggers. A trigger can set you back, but a trigger does not mean you need to do more. In fact, as in Hope's case, it may mean you need to do less. The story is a very common one because we place diagnosis, root causes, and triggers into one flower pot. We expect the same water will work for all of them in the same way, but they are not the same, and you will need to address each element in its own way in order to heal. Here are a few things I want you to take from Hope's story. Number 1, understand that your diagnosis, root causes, and triggers are not one and the same. Number 2, know that the right diagnosis, root causes, and triggers are not always easy to identify. And number 3, accept that while your diagnosis and root causes can typically be reached like a final destination, your triggers are different. Managing your own triggers is a lifelong journey you'll need to work on forever. The good news is, armed with the information, assistance, and tools for self-empowerment in this Bible, you are better equipped than ever before for the journey. Okay, so come back to me now and let's chat for just a second. This is something that is so common, and a lot of people absolutely love day 5 and reading through this because a lot of different light bulbs start going off in their heads. They start realizing the differences in what they have deemed to be root causes, diagnosis, and triggers, and how they might all be different things and might be playing a part to their healing or lack thereof at any given moment. What I want you to do now is this. I want you to make 3 columns on a sheet of paper. In the first column at the top, you will write diagnosis. In the second column, you will write root causes. And in the third column, you will write triggers. I want you to spend some time in each column thinking about all the things you know for sure. These are not things that you have Dr. Googled your way to. These are things that you know to be 100% absolutely true. In this case, you might not have sufficient information under diagnosis or under the root causes. You might, however, have a lot of information for your triggers. Once you have it all in place, see where the gaps are. See what you can infer from the things that you have written down or from the things that you still do not know. And then I want you to make another list of the action steps that you can take from this little exercise I had you do today. If you like these days, you like this information, you will love my book, A Gutsy Girl's Bible, a 21-day approach to healing the gut. You can get it at AGUTSYGIRLbook.com. It's on Amazon. It's now available for Kindle as well. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again